Today is my mother's birthday and I am celebrating her birthday with my wife. My mother has always been strong. My father died when I was very young and my mother gave so much to the family. I would love to take her home to live with us, but she prefers to live in her old house. We prepared a nice dinner, and after dinner, my wife and I came home and I was having trouble breathing. Feeling like I was going to die, I told my wife to call the emergency number. I kept saying it over and over again. I was in an extreme panic. I needed to get to the hospital as soon as possible. My consciousness started to become fuzzy. I said, "Honey, when are they coming?" She said, "Soon." She held my hand and kept reassuring me, and I saw a dark figure in the corner of the room. It was gesturing for me to walk toward it. It never left. I was terrified. I didn't know what it wanted, maybe it wanted my soul. Could this be my dead father? It looked like an evil spirit. My father was a very bad man. The paramedics arrived at our apartment and they checked my condition. My blood pressure and heart rate were low, and the paramedics asked if I could stand up, and I stood up and then fell back down. They took a stretcher and carried me from my apartment building to the ambulance. My wife shoved my cell phone and charger into my pocket, and the last thing I remember is being in the ambulance. I was scared. I said, "No. I'm dying." I grabbed the arm of one of the paramedics and said, "Help me. I'm dying." Then all the lights turned black. I thought to myself, well, I'm dead. Then my soul left my body and I landed at the entrance of the hospital. I was being chased by a demon. I believe it was the dark figure in my bedroom. The demon told me that I would never see my wife and mother again. There was nothing I could do but try to get away from this creature. I think it had been watching my every move for some time, when suddenly I felt a tremendous pain and I fell to my knees. It was the worst pain I had ever felt. I suddenly heard a voice. A familiar voice. This voice shouted my name. It was my childhood nickname. And as I lay there, it sounded like it was calling out to me. Everything turned black again. I was in a dark space. I was suspended in the air. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't feel my body. I started calling out for help and, to my surprise, my voice was so small that it was as if I was the only one who could hear me. I kept calling out, and I just thought, I have to get back to my family. I didn't want to die. I kept shouting, "Please help me. Please help me. Please." I had a feeling of relief and I started to fall downward. That's when I started to panic, and I remember my mother kept telling me that if you repent you won't go to hell. I believed at that moment that I was falling into the depths of hell. I could hear the screams all around me. I kept falling, and I also remember my mother telling me that if you pray to God for forgiveness, you won't go to hell. I started praying. I prayed to God, "Please forgive me for my sins. I prayed to you not to let me die." Finally, I stopped falling. I landed on a rolling boulder. It felt like my feet were burning, and I could smell the burning flesh all around me. I still couldn't see anything. I heard a voice say, "Son, your time has not yet come. You must climb up. Get out of here." I started climbing up. Here the walls were wet and I kept slipping. Some of the rocks are hot, I hear screams and people shouting at me. "You can't get up there, fatty. You're nothing. You can't save yourself. I kept climbing anyway. I got to the very top and someone held out a hand. I saw a figure, but couldn't make out a face. A dazzling light emanated from around him. All I know is that when I reached the top, I got help. I believe that hand was Jesus. His hand was so strong and powerful. His touch was so warm. His presence was so miraculous. I didn't believe in God at one time, because I had been having a hard time in my life. Now I feel like God is right there with me and everything is going to be okay. I heard a voice saying, "Son, you must go back. Your family is waiting for you. But before I send you back, I have to show you something." He asked me to review what had happened in the past. I saw this scene on the way home from school. I was in a fight with someone. I saw the whole thing happen as if I was standing right next to it watching, and he asked me, what did I learn through this incident? If I could go back in time, would I change anything? I said, I regret the situation so much, and if I could go back in time, this would not have happened. Feeling how stupid I was and that fighting was not the best way to solve the problem, the next thing I saw was my 8-year-old self. I snuck a lot of cheese slices out of the fridge. I walked over to the couch, ate them all, and stuffed the wrappers under the couch, hoping no one would notice I had eaten the cheese. I saw many of these visions and I learned something from each scene. I need to work on correcting a lot of things in my life. Suddenly, everything stopped and I was in a bright white room. Maybe it wasn't a room. I was just surrounded by light and I saw my grandmother, who passed away a few years ago. She looked so beautiful, and she said to me, "Your time is not yet up. We are not ready for you to come here yet. Your wife and mother are waiting for you, and you have to go back." I said, "I don't know where to go." She pointed in the direction of my right. So I went that way and I went back into my body. I knew I was back, I knew I was safe. She told me that my heart had suddenly stopped beating and the doctor did CPR, that I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. My kidneys completely healed. I had been anemic for years. My hemoglobin was all normal. I made it back successfully. Jesus saved me because I proved myself.